Guys, it's very cool, Matt, that you work at ESPN, and obviously Jared at Bally. But last Friday night, it was just fun watching John Anderson's finale there at Sports
Oh yeah.
Center.
Yep.
Being at the very beginning, like in the late 80s, I didn't have ESPN on my cable system. And I first came across it at a bar over in Lake Lansing, in Michigan here. And every single month on my bill, after I caught wind of that, and some of what we were watching was Australian rules football,
Oh,
that was some
right.
of the early stuff. But they had Sports Center from day one.
Yep.
And I mean, it's just amazing the brand and the product of Sports Center, and guys like John Anderson in his finale. They brought back Steve Levy for that final show. They had Kenny Mayne on. I
Yeah.
mean, it was great. It was must see TV for sports fans and ESPN fans. What's the word around the office? What'd you think? It was pretty cool, I thought.
It was definitely cool, and it's it's the nostalgic. It's the bringing back the three generation thing of this podcast. It's a definite conversation because Jared, when you started, probably paying attention, being old enough to watch Sports Center or whatever, mid 2000s, it was still the heyday.
Oh yeah.
Some of the like originals had started maybe going on to other things, like Dan
Right.
Patrick and some other people kind of started moving around. Rich Eisen, kind of NFL Network, and then went to his own thing. But it was still like, it was still Sports Center. It was still what it was in the 90s and like what Ted's talking about. And then it really started to change. And obviously it's very different now. So seeing that old stuff, seeing Linda Cohn, Neil Everett, Jay Harris, and obviously Steve Levy, Kenny Mayne, they're talking about Chris Berman.
Right.
I mean, these are the originals. I mean, obviously SVP did a cool shout out to him. The legend is Stuart Scott, passed away. I mean, he is the legend. It really is something. It's a generational thing. Jared, you understand it because you did watch it, but people, maybe kids nowadays, they really don't get how cool Sports Center was. I mean, it literally was. And it's not to take a shot at the company that I work for anymore, but it really has changed. Sports Center, it used to just be, you went there, you got to see your highlights. You got to see every baseball highlight. You got to see every NBA highlight, maybe a little bit of analysis and stuff like that. But it was just highlights.
Awesome.
I see people talk about at night, Baseball Tonight used to be the show.
Yep.
Every night you would go watch Baseball Tonight and see every baseball highlight. It really was the coolest thing. I mean, it was appointment television. It wasn't 24 hours. There was a 6 o'clock Sports Center. There was the 11 p.m. Sports Center. Baseball Tonight was usually either before or after that. So like you had to appointment television. It wasn't just around the clock and all that. So it was cool. It brought me back to those years. And I worked with John a few times. Everything people said was spot on. The smartest guy as far as TV broadcasting, writing.
Great writer.
Levy, great writer. I did a bunch of features with him. They were called home cooks. I don't know if you've heard of that term, Jared, but it's basically like a 2-3 minute thing where like he just voices a 2-3 minute home cook feature type thing. I edit the video to it. And it was always the coolest thing to work on. Probably the coolest things that I've worked on at ESPN were those things with John Anderson. And, it's just kind of a shame because once some of these there's still a few around, but once some of these people are really starting to move on, it's just making you realize that you're getting a little older. Some of these people from your childhood, like I remember, PTI is still a thing. But it was like you made an appointment to go 5 o'clock, watch PTI, Wilbon and Kornheiser. So
I still think PTI is the best show on ESPN personally. I mean, I like Get Up and I like PTI and I like Sports Center. Some of the other stuff, my personal opinion, it's okay, but those are my favorites. And I will say this to our listeners. We kind of script out a couple bullets for our podcast, and then we hit the microphone. But sometimes I like to just start off with something a little surprising. I like to see you get excited a little bit there, Matt. That was awesome.
No, yeah. I mean, sometimes I've been at ESPN almost 14 years now, and I mean, you guys know how it goes. You get in the daily grind, and it's a job. You go in, you're doing your job. I mean, Jared, the
novelty wears off almost instantly.
I mean, think about how cool it is. You get to go to Comerica Park. You get to go to Little Caesars Arena, and that's your job.
Right.
You get paid to do that, So, yeah, sometimes you kind of forget how cool it is to do what you do. So, no, it's it's cool to see the legends, the original people that really, like you said, like I remember when we were talking to Scott McNeil, Gus Macker,
right?
That you were talking about the brand Gus Macker, how big it is. I don't know if there's a bigger brand as far as in TV, sports, broadcasting than ESPN.
Right.
I mean, it's in movies, the ESPN and the books and just everything. So he's one of the originals, John Anderson. Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool to see, that's for sure. Well, this is episode 319 of the 3 Point Podcast, presented by the Memorial Healthcare Wellness Center, voted Shiawassee County's best health club and gym. Check out memorialhealthcare.org for details on everything they offer. I also want to thank our starting lineup of partners. They include the ALS Association of Michigan, AZee Branding Solutions, Detroit Jerky. We still going to have a little taste test tonight, or are we tabling that?
Jared, did you get yours? Or is
I don't have
it.
Okay. But I'll be honest, that don't let that deter you if you guys want to try it.
All right.
We can't do you think you might be getting it in the next week or two?
Yeah, I would have it by next week. Yes.
Okay. We'll save the live taste test, but we can maybe give a little review if we want.
Well, have you guys tasted it?
I've had a couple.
Yeah, I had the Michigan Cherry Bomb. That's the only one I've opened up so far. It's delicious, and we'll get more into that when we have our taste test. Also want to thank Jacobs Insurance Agency, Kori Shook and Associates Real Estate Services, Nelson House Funeral Homes, Rivals Taphouse and Grille, Success Group Mortgage and Servicing, and brand new on board, we definitely want to welcome the Shiawassee County Fair. Shiawassee County Fair is this year, August 4th through August 10th. There's more in 24. Miniature golf, helicopter rides. The Skirbic Carnival is back, along with livestock shows, large and small animal auctions. And if you can get more details online at ShiawasseeFair.com, the Shiawassee County Fair, August 4th through the 10th. That's kind of a little tease into a little bit down the road. We're going to have a couple special podcasts going a little bit more in depth with some of our partners, and we've recorded, I think, 9 of them, and it's going to be very interesting. I think we're going to get some positive feedback for what we put together, guys.
It is cool because we talk about all the time how much we appreciate our partners. So to finally we've had a couple of them on. Noah Jacobs has been on. We've talked to Tony from AZee, Jim Woodworth, but to get to sit down, I guess, virtually with all of them and not just talk about their business, but maybe talk about some other personal topics. It was really cool.
Yeah. And you talked a little bit about you guys being in the sports media world. I mean, the big time world. I'm a little sports director at a radio station, but I will say this just to blow our own horn a little bit. I mean, we're a podcast, but we're actually a professional podcast. I mean, we got money coming in our pocket. So I guess we're doing something right, boys. And we're getting more listeners as we go along. So let's keep it going. Well, speaking of our partners, let's take a short pause so you can hear some of their messages, and we'll be back and have maybe a little contest.
All right, fellas. Well, this is a little bit of a teaser or maybe an appetizer for a 4th of July activities draft. And don't worry, listeners, we met before. We were on the same page on what we're drafting, so no worries there. But I have something.
How come you're looking at me? That's what I want to know.
No, I wasn't pointing fingers at anybody. I'm going to say something I know I'm going to get outranked on this podcast. But what I'm about to say, I think applies to a lot more people than you guys are willing to admit. So the 4th of July is a holiday. Listen, I know I'm kind of the negative Nancy on this show. I don't try to be. I'm going to say something right now. Halloween, I love the Halloween holiday. I love Halloween. I don't really partake in it. But as an observer, I love the costumes. I love the candy. I love everything that Halloween is about. I love the fall. So let me just throw it out there. I love Halloween as a holiday. When you think about major holidays in the United States, here's the list that I have and where I rank 4th of July. Number 1, Christmas. No brainer. It's the best holiday that there is. Number 2, Thanksgiving. I mean, what's better than Thanksgiving? You got football. You got the best meal of the year. Thanksgiving, number 2. That's another no-brainer. Number 3, Halloween. Again, I just said how much I love Halloween, everything about it. I am such a Halloween fan. Now, this is where it's going to get contentious. Flat out. Labor Day is a better holiday than the 4th of July. 100% better holiday. 1, college football is on.
Yeah.
2, it is a guaranteed 3-day weekend. Like 4th of July this year, dude, it's essentially a Sunday just in the middle of your week.
Yeah.
I mean, how much am I going to celebrate the fireworks when I got to be up at 6 a.m. the next morning? I don't know how much I'm going to enjoy that. Number 5, this is from the same ilk, Memorial Day. It's the start of summer. It's also another guaranteed 3-day weekend. Now, this is where 4th of July comes in. Number 6, 4th of July. Everything I just said, Sunday scaries. Now, I will say one counterpoint I would have to myself. I've said it before. I think the 4th of July food spread is arguably better than Thanksgiving. Now, that's the only argument that I have for 4th of July. Other than that, it's not my favorite. The only holiday I have below 4th of July at number 7, New Year's Eve / New Year's Day. You guys all know why I hate that. You're damned if you go out because you're going to drop $300 and it's going to be slam packed. You're damned if you stay home because you feel like you're missing out on all the fun. So
Right.
That's my list. I mean, am I crazy? Where do you guys fall on that?
That's solid. It's hard to argue Christmas being number 1. Just all the family gatherings and just the spirit and everything around Christmas. Usually you got the lights up, and if you get some snowy weather and stuff, Christmas is pretty cool. You've always been one that says you think the beach is kind of overrated. Not a big beach person, so I can understand why the 4th of July, that might be a tease for our draft later.
Mm-hmm.
Why I think 4th of July should be much higher on your list. Same with the food thing, but you're in support of the food, because I don't think the Thanksgiving spread is better than the 4th of July spread. So that's part of it.
I don't want to cut you off, but here's why I said you guys are going to disagree. Matt, you have an awesome spot up north. Obviously, you love 4th of July.
Yeah.
Ted, you have a boat and you have a lake house. Obviously, you love 4th of July.
Yep.
All of us other normies, no, it's not that great. It's kind of overrated, to be honest. We're two totally different ends of the spectrum. I'm telling you, I think a lot more people, when they really think about it, are going to align with myself more than you guys.
I will say this, Jared. I'm glad you did some work on this. This is well thought out.
It wasn't much work, man. I was 5 minutes racking my brain.
You came up with a topic. You laid it out. You have good arguments. In the past, I've said before how much I like the 4th of July, and I do. A part of it's because my birthday is 1 week later. So, it's kind of combined 4th of July, my birthday, summertime, all that good stuff. If I had to be put in a corner and picked a holiday that would be my favorite, it's not so much at this stage of my life, Christmas. I like maybe Thanksgiving a little bit better, just for the whole family thing, all breaking bread at one table, and getting together. Christmas is right there with it, but then I would probably have the 4th of July solidly in third, and I understand what you're saying about Labor Day, but to me, the start of colder weather kind of overrides football. I mean, you could almost look at it as a 5th season, the football season, right. You know what I mean? But
I mean, Labor Day is 4th of July with football. How is it not better?
Yeah, I hear you. And I do get the 3-day weekend guaranteed. That is a bummer on 4th of July.
I was going to say the built-in 3-day weekends on Labor Day, Memorial Day does take those up a notch. Now, Jared, and you too, Ted, Jared, you work in a field that stuff doesn't matter.
Yep.
Yeah. I've worked multiple Labor Days. I've worked on Thanksgiving. I've worked on Christmas Day, because what are we doing on those holidays? We're watching sports. Right. So that's the one thing. The 4th of July falling on a Thursday this year, I heard some people talking about, like my wife, even her office is open on Friday after 4th of July. And people were like, that's where, like you were saying, Jared, you stay up late to try and watch the fireworks, enjoy the holiday. But a lot of people have to go back to work on Friday. And then, so it's just really strange. Some of these holidays, like we've talked about with Super Bowl or, some of these other ones, I know 4th of July is on a specific date, the 4th of July, but it's like they should just build it into the weekend, give people the long weekend, figure out something like that. But the Labor Day, Memorial Day thing, 3-day weekend definitely takes it up a notch.
The bummer of the 4th of July on a Thursday, you never know which way your company is going to go. Are they going to give you a 4-day weekend, or are they going to make you work on that Friday?
Right.
So, but agreed. The 4th of July is that, like, I remember it was my first year out of high school. The 4th of July fell on, I think, a Friday. Went to Higgins Lake. Now that was a party. Now that was a blast. But again, that's once every 7 years, man. It's I think we went through Monday 4 years ago, Tuesday 3 years ago, Wednesday 2 years ago. This year, I guess maybe I'm a year off on all that.
Right.
We've been going through it, man. We're finally about to get to the good 4th of July is coming up, but then we got to restart the cycle.
Yeah.
Got to restart the cycle.
Yeah, it's one of those things the government should just say, you get a day off one way or the other, a Friday or a Monday. You got to get a day off, but
something.
We'll see what happens.
Is it just me? Why do I feel like I have the worst, like, Sunday scaries is how I describe it, every 4th of July? It's like, the whole day I'm just like thinking about work the next day. It just reminds me so much of a Sunday. That's why I don't like it.
Well, because you work in a field, the Tigers usually play the day after. So you probably have to go work the Tigers game or something the day after. So that's probably part of it. But with 4th of July coming up this week, we were going to do it's kind of become a tradition, our draft, whatever topic we choose, whatever it is, whether it's food, holidays, whatever. We'll go through and we're going to draft it doesn't have to be 4th of July specific, your typical fireworks, beach, cookout or whatever. Anything that is around summer /4th of July. We're going to go through our top 3 with some honorable mentions and do a little draft. Do we want to start oldest this time? Ted, you want to start number 1?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Well, I'll just get what I think's the obvious thing out. I'm sure we'll have some debate on this, but I look forward to fireworks every 4th of July. Number 1. I mean, I've been ever since I was a little kid, going to different areas and watching fireworks. I've seen them up in Ludington. I've seen them up in Harbor Springs. I've seen them in Bay City. Corunna has stepped up here in the last 20 or 30 years, and they have a big 4th of July fireworks spread. And out here at the lake, we have fireworks. So that's number 1 for me. Looking forward to the fireworks. So
fireworks is your 1 of 1 4th of July.
Yep.
It's on paper, it is the obvious 1-1 pick, but I mean, I'm going to push back. We talked pre-pod. I'm not a big fireworks guy. Listen, if you should not go number 1, if every time when it's over, you go, that's it. Every fireworks show, you say that, whether it's good, bad, other than Bay City. I went to Bay City once when I was like a little kid.
Right.
Now that's a fireworks show. That's what George Washington envisioned for fireworks. No offense to Corunna. I love the town. I mean, you sit there waiting for like an hour for it to start. You're laying in the grass, you're getting all itchy, you got a blanket maybe. It's just, I think it's I just think they're a little bit overrated to me.
Fair.
But parking is always a hassle. Getting out, you're not getting home till midnight. Even in Corunna, Bay City, you didn't get home till 4 a.m. It's like, they're just overrated. They're awesome, but I think they've kind of lost their way in a sense of what they were supposed to be.
I think a big part of it is kind of like what you said, depending on your location. Ted being right there at Lake Manitou, you're on the pontoon probably, or maybe you're sitting on your back
right
deck.
In the yard. Yeah, I used to do it on the boat.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about dealing with the traffic at McCurdy Park or wherever you are. Same with up in Ludington where my parents' place is.
Yeah,
we can just walk right down to the beach, watch them shoot the fireworks out over the lake, walk back home. So that's probably a pretty big part of it. Fireworks, would it be in my top 3? No, I think it is cool. It's a tradition. It's 4th of July. Yes, it is a cool part of 4th of July. Wouldn't be in my personal top 3. My 1 of 1 is the food. I think the 4th of July spread, the cookout, everyone has their different little things that they do with the cookout. The 4th of July overall spread, I would put far above Thanksgiving, far above Christmas, any other, traditional big holiday feast that you have. I just love the hot dogs on the grill, the burgers on the grill. If you do grilled chicken, barbecue chicken, something like that, all the summer salads are so much better. Like the strawberry salad, pasta salad, taco salad, all the other kind of stuff. It's hot out. You want something cold. You're eating those cold salads. You're usually washing it down with like lemonade or, whatever your beverage you're having, and you're hungry because you've been at the beach all day or you've been out doing stuff. So the 4th of July holiday spread food, and the desserts, usually, you got some really good desserts, ice cream sandwiches, something like that. That is my far and away 1 of 1 for 4th of July week.
Yeah, that was my number 1. You took it right from under me. You can't beat it. Like I said it before, the food spread, like it's arguably up there better than Thanksgiving. I'm going to say it. It's not arguable. It is better. Everything you said, the pasta salad, like the underrated things you don't even think about, the salads, like that's number 10 of the things you think about. They're awesome. So I'm with you. I think that was honestly a better pick than the fireworks, but the fireworks had to go 1-1. It's just American thing to do. They had to go 1-1.
America.
All right. I'm gonna lose this draft because it's like I'm just gonna lose it. That's where I'm at. I've accepted it. So my number one, watching the hot dog eating contest.
Oh.
I love it. Except this year. Now, to be honest, this is what sucks.
I was gonna say, except for this year, right?
You got to boycott it, maybe. Yep. I don't know the full details on the whole Joey Chestnut gate, but if he's not competing, man, I mean, what mustard hot dog hat is really being given away this thing? I mean, he's the king until he gets knocked off. But something about that, I love the whole pageantry of it. I'm a nerd for it. I love getting there 11:30, watching the announcer. The guy, I don't even know the guy's name, but he knows what his gig is, and that's to put out one hell of a show. And that's what that guy does every year, announcing people coming out. You got Joey Chestnut coming out to, I don't know what the song is, The Who, I don't know, like Teenage Wasteland, I don't even know what it's called, but it's a great song. Everything about the hot dog contest I appreciate. Even last year, it's like, even when it's like it got canceled because it's so hot, Joey Chestnut's like rallying the troops. There's always a storyline and something you appreciate from that noon hot dog eating contest. The perfect way to start the 4th of July. Usually you watch that, then you go do whatever else you want to do. So my number one pick, third pick, overall pick, watching the hot dog eating contest.
One final thing on that, you forgot the guy that's in our business, the announcer. That guy is classic.
That's what
he was saying.
I don't know who his name is. He's always got like a 1940s suit on.
The hat.
You got to tune in for that guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's fair.
All right. My number two.
Snake it or snake back. Yep.
So like I'm not going to give away any picks here, but like drinking is obviously a good one. That's what I want to throw out, but I don't ever really indulge in that. So it's like, it's stolen valor if I take it. So I'm going to go with number 4 on my list, and that's outdoor music. I usually always find myself at McCurdy Park. There's always some sort of live band there. For some reason, I always feel like they're playing like Bruce Springsteen music. Maybe that's just the same cover band every year. I don't know. But Born to Run, I swear, gets a play right before the fireworks start year after year there. I just love sitting there. So who doesn't love outdoor music, let alone 4th of July? Everybody's vibes are up. I love sitting and enjoying those outdoor concerts on 4th of July.
That's fair.
Yeah.
You know, if you're at a park, like you said, McCurdy Park, or, you know, somewhere, and I would even go as far, the live music, if it's a band, takes it a notch up, but even just like listening to your own music. If, you know, you've got a speaker out in the yard or whatever, and you're just hanging out, listening to some music, you really can't beat it, especially on a beautiful day. I bet, Ted, you crank some too. You have a probably nice little speaker set up in your backyard.
I've got a Bluetooth speaker that looks like a rock, and it plays pretty good. And I don't play the music maybe you guys are into. I find it, and I am patriotic. I play patriotic music, you know. That's what I play.
What's the
Toby Keith?
About patriotic music, I'm trying to think.
Toby Keith, man.
Toby Keith,
Bruce Springsteen.
I thought you meant like that Yankee Doodle song. Yankee Doodle.
That gets mixed in there too. You know, it's quite a mix.
No, 4th of July, you got to do it. Same with Christmas time. You're going to play Christmas music.
Absolutely.
So it makes sense. No, music's a good one. I honestly hadn't really thought of it in that sense. So my number 2, you guys know that I'm a big beach guy. It's, if you're in an area where you can go to the beach, it's going to the beach on 4th of July, or if you can mix in like Ted living on the lake, taking the pontoon out, something around that, something outdoors. If you're camping and you're just hanging out outside, you know, because you're camping, you know, something like that, just being outdoors, beach, on the lake, you know, in a campground, something like that. That's my number 2. I just love the summer. I love the hot weather. I think it's fun being outside, sweaty, you know, like swimming in the lake, all that kind of stuff. So that's my easy number 2, because then you do that all day, and then you go back to the campsite or your house or whatever, and you have that huge meal, and it's just the perfect 4th of July.
Wow.
It really is.
Yeah. Well, I had go to the beach, but you kind of combined go to the beach and go to a campground, you know, and I had camping as one of mine as well, but you took them. That's okay.
When have you, I love that. You camped on 4th of July? I guess I didn't know that about you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And we're talking about our whole life what we have on our list.
Yep.
I've been around a lot longer than you guys. Yeah, there was a time when we used to play softball and go camping on the 4th of July and play in a softball tournament.
I would say you could take camping, because I didn't say specifically camping. It was just the like being outside. So if you want to use camping as your number 2, I'd allow it.
If I say camping, can I also say enjoying the campfire and roasting marshmallows and that type of thing as one topic?
The whole experience of camping. Yeah.
That's there. And then I get another one, right? My third one. Yep. All right. You guys might laugh at this. It kind of goes hand in hand with music. Go to the parade. It's got to have marching bands, but go to the 4th of July parade earlier in the day. That's on my list. I love parades. I'm just
interesting.
They have to be good parades, but I do like parades, and they got to have marching bands.
Yeah. Now, have you ever been in a parade, like back in the day with your little league team, or
yeah, we marched in the Corona parade every year. They always had a Memorial Day parade too, and I won 2nd place in my bike decorating.
That's awesome.
The mayor at that time.
Okay. So I feel like you might have shared a picture of this before.
Yeah.
So this is we are all making personal pictures. Clearly, you love the parades because you were a parade, pinata. Pinata's not the right term, but you paraded around in the parade.
It's fair, right? It's fair. You're right. Because it just crossed my mind. I was also in the parade as a Cub Scout, so
you love parades.
I love parades.
Tossing candy out and doing all that. Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever actually sat and watched a parade, believe it or not. I honestly don't think I ever have.
That's kind of surprising.
I've partaken in one where you were like a little calf dribbling around the city. That I did.
Yeah.
I even think I left that, to be honest, now that I'm remembering it, when I was like 7 or 8. I think I remember veering off when you went around the football field. I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna go sit in the bleachers, man. Like I think I got the whole gist of this parade thing. Yep. I'm gonna go call it. But all right.
Did you guys do
people love parades? They're
off topic a little bit. Did you guys do field day parades from your schools to the football field? And for field day, did you parade as a class? Do you remember doing that? We didn't do
parades. I'm trying to remember now how we got to field day from Elsa Meyer. We must have just rode buses.
Okay.
Yeah.
Field day is an all-time day.
Yeah.
Yeah, field day is a good one. That if we ever did a draft list of school events, I feel like field day might be number 1 for all of us. So my third, I went food, and then being at the beach or on the water or whatever as my number 2. Number 3, you kind of teased it or said it a little bit, Ted, but I like, if you're with a big group of family or friends, the softball game that usually breaks out, or a wiffle ball game, or cornhole, or just tossing the football around, or just whatever kind of little activity you do like that. There's so many yard games nowadays that people have. You're on the beach and you just bring out a little kickball, you start doing beach volleyball. I like anything like that. Even, you get your grandparents involved, and, you get your aunt and uncle involved who haven't ran around the bases in 27 years or whatever. And they're out there playing kickball with you and stuff. I think, and you got the little grandkids, all the little kids are playing. I just think that kind of stuff is so fun.
Yeah. I was going to take playing wiffle ball next. I love it. I mean, I actually have a little bit of a bad memory from wiffle ball on 4th of July. We were playing one time when I was probably 10, 11, 12. And the neighbor freaked out because we had a base in his maybe 3 feet into his front yard. Came out not very patriotic. Dude, guy was cussing up a storm. A bunch of kids all right, I guess we'll just take our bat and ball and go home. That was basically it. So yeah, wiffle ball you can't beat at any time, but 4th of July you have the numbers to really field a good match. Right. So that's also a big plus of the 4th of July and the wiffle ball kickball games.
Well, you guys brought up some sports there, and you briefly touched upon it. Would you say nowadays number 1 for those kind of activities would be cornhole? If you have, you talked about grandpas and younger kids and just playing cornhole, where would that rank, would you guys think?
I like cornhole a lot. I mean, I remember it getting popular. When I was in college, it really started to get popular. It's funny. My mom texted me a couple days ago. They saw a story on Good Morning America or something like that. And they were talking about kids now getting scholarships to college to go play cornhole.
Wow.
And it's just crazy to think about that. But that is just a classic because it's one of those everyone can play.
Right.
I mean, if I guess if you can move your arm like that, everyone can play cornhole. So that is a good one.
Cornhole also, it's like, I don't know, it's such a simple sport, but also it is actually fairly entertaining to sit and watch.
Yeah.
It is a good game. I think it's number one. I don't even know. There's a lot of these other ones that have like tried to kind of take it, like Can Jam. What's the volleyball one where you spike ball? I think that's the worst game ever made. I don't get why that's even a thing, really.
Yeah.
I think it's unarguably cornhole is number one in yard games. So
now, do you guys have some honorable mentions?
I got
Jared.
You got one left.
Here.
Okay.
So my last pick, I was going to pick wiffle ball, but I had to transition. Cornhole was on my list.
I feel like I've stolen a few of your guys' picks.
I only planned 7 things. I was struggling to even get to 7.
I know.
Because you hate 4th of July so much.
Yeah, I mean, what I got on my list. I'm staring at it. Yeah, I got
the day drinking. You brought up the drinking. If you're hanging out with your friends, having a few drinks.
Yeah. I'm just getting my heart's on cornhole. I mean, it kind of got stolen right from beneath my feet right there. Cornhole. It's everything we just talked about. It's the best game. I love competing in it, man. It's something about that game always gets competitive juices flowing. Usually it's against your buddies. Usually there's some beer mixed in, which adds to the competitive juices. Cornhole. That's my 3rd pick. So
now I will say, Ted, this is an old school one. I'd be curious, Jared, I'm sure you've played it, but how much? I'm not sure. Horseshoes.
I knew you were going to say that.
I love playing horseshoes. We grew up playing horseshoes. Right. And my parents had a pit. My grandparents had a pit. We would go places and play horseshoes. My mother-in-law that's still in Corona, they have a nice horseshoe pit in their backyard. But it's funny, my wife doesn't really like to play because she's like, I can barely throw the shoe. Tough. So that's where cornhole comes in. For the most part, anyone can do that. I love playing horseshoes, though. Did you guys play that a lot, Ted, growing up?
Oh, I did. Yeah. Yeah, we had horseshoes. In fact, my first house that I purchased, I put in a horseshoe pit.
Yeah.
But I will say horseshoes. Wow. Horseshoes is the OG, but cornhole is the king now.
Cornhole's cool.
No it's just more practical, man. And you don't gotta. What's fun? I guess this is a deep dark memory. I actually competed in a 4th of July horseshoe game. When I was McCurdy probably Park? 12, as basically a dare by a buddy at McCurdy Park in Corona. They do a tournament for horseshoe. I saw the bracket and I'm like, dude, I want in on this thing. Like, who knows? I was a cocky middle schooler. Like, I might win this damn thing. And I've never played this game. I literally got basically swept. I didn't even know the rules. I didn't know the scoring. Showed up and I was like, my match was done in 10 minutes. Like, well,
did you get beat by some old farmer?
Yeah, it was it was so uneventful that it's there's really no story to it. As soon as it started, I was done.
It's funny. So a couple side stories. So up in Ludington, it was when my parents first purchased the house. Before they moved up there, they didn't have a horseshoe pit in the backyard. And one of my best friends, him and I were up there, and we were like, we asked my parents, could we, they had the stakes, they had everything for it, they just hadn't put them in yet. And my buddy and I were like, can we do it? And I probably reluctantly, but they were probably like, go ahead and do it.
Right.
So my buddy and I, we, up there, everything's sand. You start digging into the ground.
Oh,
and
it's magical, sand. Man.
That's the best.
Yeah, but we had the cool idea of let's make one of the pits actual sand from the beach. Oh. Let's take 2 5-gallon buckets down to the beach, fill them with sand. You don't realize how heavy sand is.
Oh, dude.
We filled those buckets.
Scaries, man.
We got 20 yards probably away from the beach, and we were like, what are we doing? This is a terrible idea.
But I tell you what, though, the theory of that, I like it. That reminds me of Bryson DeChambeau when he won the U.S. Open and scooped sand out of the bunker where he hit that shot, put it in the trophy.
Yeah,
I appreciate the sentiment of that, but yeah, it
was a terrible
heavier
idea.
Than you imagine.
And then I'm pretty sure someone told us that technically that's illegal to steal right. Sand from the beach. So there's that whole side to it too. What was the other? I was going to say something else about horseshoes, but yeah, I love playing horseshoes. It's fun. My grandparents also had one. I don't know if Jared or Ted, you played this. It was like washers. They had little cups in the yard.
Yep, I know what you're talking about.
You would throw they were bigger washers. You would just toss washers into these little cups in the yard. That was always a fun one too.
Yep.
Yeah, that it's I think cornhole. I don't know. Is cornhole a relatively new game? Was it around when you were a kid? Ted?
No.
I was gonna say, I remember when I was in college at Grand Valley, like 2 people had cornhole boards. Like no one knew what cornhole was,
but game.
Yeah, like if you ended up at this party and they had cornhole, it was like, what is this game? We're throwing beanbags into this board, and then all of a sudden it blew up. The other story I was going to say, I was at a wedding a couple of years ago, one of my wife's friends, and there were some people there. Actually, they live in Owasso, and there's like serious cornhole leagues in Owasso. At the time, I didn't really know about, and they play in these leagues. So at this wedding, the night before, we were all playing cornhole. And one of the guys who was really, really good at cornhole, he was teaching me how to do it. And it was just, I usually played, I'm competitive, athletic person, you know how to throw a cornhole, but he was teaching me like the proper way to throw.
Oh yeah.
And there actually is technique to it. There actually is technique to throwing it.
I can't put my finger on it, but with cornhole, I don't know if it depends on the boards or the bags. Like sometimes when I play, we do it every year at our family on-away trip coming up in a few 3-4 weeks.
Yep.
I'm either like maybe the best player there or the worst. It just depends on the day and the vibes. Like you'll get blanked like 21-0 by somebody, right, and the next match you'll win. Like it just is. It blows my mind. You never know what person is showing up that day to throw the bags.
Yeah, Goose is always my what is he? My
brother-in-law.
Brother-in-law. There you go. Help me out. I had a Biden moment there.
Oh boy.
Yeah, he's good.
Goose is really good. Yeah, he's played
because you guys always, there's always a little bit of money on it too, right?
Oh yeah. There's an entry fee, and it gets pretty intense when it's down to the last 2. It's definitely the entertainment of our weekend for sure.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. No, I mean, Jared, so you listen to those lists right there. You listen to each of our top 3s, a couple sidebars too. How can you say that 4th of July is number 7? Was it number 7 on your holiday? Like
way down.
Number 6, only New Year's Eve below it. Again, it has so much to do with where it falls, and you don't even think about that. Labor Day, like think about this: Labor Day weekend, Memorial Day weekend.
Right.
It's a 3-day holiday basically. This is just one random offshoot day. You always got to work. You either got to work the next day, and it just is so overhyped. You know what? Honestly, I freaking forgot. This is what I was going to take 3rd, and I blanked on it. What my favorite 4th of July activity, honestly, is golfing. Because 4th of July is the one day of the year in the summer, perfect weather. Nobody is on the course. It is what you call go zone golfing. I usually will play 36 holes on 4th of July if I don't work. That is the one thing that I do love about that day, is that everybody's up north or distracted doing who knows what. The courses are ghost towns, and it's magical.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. So you got it in. We'll give it to you. We got to have a few honorable mentions, don't we?
Yeah, that's honorable mention.
I got a couple. I mean, you brought it up north, just going up north. That's part of the 4th of July fun. When and I like to go back when I was a kid. When I was a kid, we used to have a camper that we'd set up in our backyard, and we'd camp out overnight in the backyard, and then the parents went to bed, and we'd run rampant through Corunna. So that was part of the 4th of July.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Also, back in the day, the Speedway always had a 4th of July show. And I went to a few of those, and they always had the show and then fireworks afterwards. So those are a couple of my honorable mentions.
That'd be cool. Yeah, the Owasso Speedways had a resurgence also. So I wonder if they would I wonder if they have a 4th of July event coming back or something.
Right.
A couple of my honorable mentions were things that were already said. Fireworks, yes, not my top 3, but it'd be an honorable mention. I do enjoy them. And parades, I do, depending on where you're at, especially if you have kids love the parades. Parades can be kind of cool. So those were kind of in my honorable mention.
You know what I wish I would have picked? This is more so when I was a kid. And also 4th of July for a kid, it's great. I mean, every day's summer. So, a lot of my complaints about it don't even apply.
It's because you have to work
when
now.
You were a kid, I think I maybe only did it once or twice when I was a kid. You go to the fireworks stand, and it's like the ultimate toy store. It's toys that fire things. It's like you get the tank that you light up in your the street outside your house. Like honestly, I think I love that type of firework more than like the big ones that shoot up. You're just messing around with your friends or whoever, like your family, just lighting stuff off in your driveway. Like that might be more entertaining than the actual show.
Yeah,
that's fair. And along those lines, where do you guys stand on sparklers? I'm gonna pull a Jared here and say sparklers are the most overrated thing ever. I don't. The kids always get hit with the sparks, and then someone gets like sparked in the eye. It's just awful.
If people got sparklers, I want to hold it for 30 seconds. I mean, I'm never going to go out and buy it. So, I mean, I guess I am saying they're overrated. It's an interesting cat that goes and gets the sparklers for everybody because I'm with you. What is so fun about them? But if somebody's got them, I want to hold on to one.
Sparklers were on my honorable mention list. I mean, when you're a little kid, you know, I mean, you kind of outgrow
this whole thing.
Oh yeah,
exactly. Make a shape. Yeah.
And a couple other things too, like. I don't know if you guys ever went to Cedar Point on the 4th of July or a Tiger game on the 4th of July. No. But those are kind of cool too.
Because Tigers games, they probably shoot off fireworks, I would assume, right?
Oh yeah.
Well, and last year it was kind of like I think my parents actually went to the game. It was the Tigers lost, I think 1-0. Skubal made his debut last season on the 4th of July. And I want to say Reese Olson pitched. Yeah. Skubal pitched I think 3 or 4 innings and basically a rehab start. And then Reese Olson pitched the rest of the way, and it was like a shutout. It was ended up being a bummer because they lost, but it was still kind of a cool game seeing both those guys pitch so well that day.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk a little sports coming up here. Before we jump into another break, I just want to tell you about Detroit Jerky. We did talk about that we're going to have a taste test coming up. It's a vegan, gluten-free jerky, the best one in the game. If you want details on Detroit Jerky, one of our great sponsors, you can buy it on their website at DetroitJerkyLLC.com, and orders over $30 get free shipping. So we'll talk a little sports right after this. All right, guys. I mean, you know, we're at that summer doldrums. We don't really want to talk too much about the Tigers, but there was just some NBA news. I know you guys are a little bit more in tune to that, but the Pistons decided on a coach. They got JB Bickerstaff fired by Cleveland, hired by the Pistons. Yep. I mean, it's one of the moves. The Pistons, you know, you go, okay, but does it get you excited? You know.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't necessarily a splash hire, but it's one of those hires that it's like, who else were they going to get? Because where the Pistons are at right now, it's not like there's a Greg Popovich out there that they can hire or a Phil Jackson that they're going to go get. And he's been around the league. The family's been around the league, Bickerstaff. There's a bunch of them that have coached in the league. And he had a little bit of success. He was the head coach with the Cavs the last 4 or 5 years. Took him to the playoffs a couple years. You know, so like he's a solid coach. Will he take them all of a sudden to the Eastern Conference Finals next year? You know, I guess we'll see. But yeah, I mean, you know, it's a hire. They got a guy, and then they went out and they signed Tobias Harris, who was previously with the Pistons a while ago. You know, a solid veteran player. Again, not a splash, but they picked somebody up, a veteran guy, to be with the young players. So, you know. It's kind of like, yeah, Ted, you do that, you know, like they had to do something, but it's just like nothing's really moving the needle. But I don't know what they could do that would. So,
yeah,
right. You know, it's I mean, how long ago did I say the Pistons should bring in Chris Paul? When you know it, the Spurs, who I think are like perfectly kind of nailing this rebuild, they bring in Chris Paul. They're like, we need this guy to be a veteran to really lead our guys. I think the Pistons are still kind of missing that true alpha. There's not many of them in the NBA. That's why I thought Chris Paul was such a kind of diamond in the rough, whether he contributes a ton on the court or not. You know, the work ethic, you know, the intensity is going to be there with him.
Right.
So I don't know who else is there. Like, yeah, Tobias Harris is a veteran. Is he that presence in the locker room? I'm not sure.
Right.
I think the Pistons, I go back and forth on this. The reality of the NBA, you got to tank and you got to hope you get a Wembanyama.
Right.
By bringing in Tobias, by bringing in Tim Hardaway Jr., they're going to be better next year. They're clearly looking to be better immediately. And I personally don't hate that. Yes, I would have liked to have seen them maybe tank one more year for a guy like Cooper Flagg. It's burned us the last couple of lotteries, man. We the 5th pick 3 straight years. But also, I think at some point you got to stop losing, whatever it takes. Right. Just change the culture. Start winning some ball games. I think it's better for the current players on the team. Like, these guys start being a part of a team that wins a few more ball games than 14, like they did last year.
Especially when they gave, you know, the star, Cade Cunningham's supposed to be the star. They're giving him his extension. You know, he's done with his rookie year. They're locking him up, you know, big time money. So he's kind of the future of the team. So that's why you do like, the Tim Hardaway Jr., they picked him up, and Tobias Harris. What those two guys could be too, come mid-season, if the Pistons are at that 10-12 win mark, those two guys could be trade bait too. Sure. You know, those are two guys that contenders at the trade deadline could want. Pistons could pick up a couple picks or, something for those guys. So, you could look at it that way too. But right, I'm with you, Jared. Like at some point, if you want to keep Cade Cunningham, if you want to keep some of these young guys, you got to start winning. You got to make people want to come to the Pistons. Right. And
and as for the, Bickerstaff, again, I don't love it. I don't hate it. I kind of appreciate his style. I also kind of liked Monty Williams' style. People yelled at him for not like freaking out on the bench. I kind of like that coaching style. I think I don't know. I mean, we all like the old Dan Earleys and those type of guys. Everybody's got their own way of getting things done. But I like that about him. He seems cool, calm, and collected. Seems like nothing really shakes him. I know the playoffs have kind of been the sticking point with him, where maybe those teams have kind of fallen apart a little bit. But anyways,
I did see before you move on real quick. I did see friend of the pod, Noah Jacobs. he tweeted out right when the news of Tobias Harris. He said this is his last straw. He said the Pistons signing Tobias Harris was his last straw. He said, I am now a Milwaukee Bucks fan. He said, hopefully the Pistons can bring me back. But so Noah's done with the Pistons.
I mean, maybe he's in the boat of like, I guess he wants to tank, which I get it. I mean, how long can we tank though, man?
Right.
At some point, again, we just rehashed it. It's like, got to win some ball games. Yeah. And he is a good fit for this roster. I mean, needed a 4 that could spread the court. With Duren inside, needed shooting. He provides that at the 4 spot. You need shooting from Tim Hardaway Jr. That's what you got. It just
hope Ivy can improve.
Yeah. Yep. That's an interesting. I saw that as well. I thought it was a funny spot to draw the line. I like of all the shit. I mean, really, that's it. But hey, everybody's got their opinion, so I appreciate it. He's officially now. I thought he said I don't even know who he's a fan of now. Who was it?
He said the Bucks.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he's going to jump onto one of the top 5 teams in the league. The fans of the Bucks don't want him.
It's his Badger roots. Come on.
Right.
Yeah, I guess it's a bit of a stretch. I mean, they got the best player in the NBA, arguably. So
right.
I'd love to be a fan of them too. As for the draft, Pistons draft, I don't really got a strong take on that. I mean, Ron Holland, he seems like they're drafting on potential upside. It's a wing. He struggles to shoot. The big thing I've been hearing about is this Vincent character. Apparently, it's like the shot doctor. Who he got from New Orleans. So we'll see what he can do. Apparently, he's the guy that kind of transferred Brandon Ingram shooting, Lonzo Ball is shooting, some of these other guys. So maybe he can help some of these people we have who have talent, just can't put the ball in the rim. Maybe he'll help with that. But Ron Holland II, I didn't know who he was till we drafted him. I don't. Do you guys have anything on this guy? I got really nothing.
No.
Nothing more than what you guys know. Yeah, upside is athleticism.
G leaguer, okay. Whoopee.
Shot
what blows my mind, fellas, is I looked at this entire draft roster. The most exciting thing was Bronny going to the Lakers. Right. I mean, you look at everybody on that list, and maybe it's just me being old, and maybe it's the change in college basketball. I don't know who these guys are. All I looked at, I go, okay, this guy played for Connecticut, so okay, he's probably pretty good.
Right.
But, Cam Spencer, I did like the Pistons drafting him. I don't know what he is.
Yeah.
At some point, maybe he's a contributor in some way, somehow. I don't know. That's just the draft, man. It was a bad draft. Everybody said it to the point where I'm rooting for it to be like, wow, what if this draft is like miraculous in 10 years? Probably no chance that happens. But yeah, it just was a horrible draft. On top of that, there's been such an insurgence of these international players that you just flat out don't know who a lot of them are, other than Wembanyama, who transcends everything. So yeah, I'm with you. I saw somebody tweeted out there used to be drafts where I would know everybody but 3 guys. Right. This draft, I knew 3 guys and I didn't know anybody else. That's as true as it gets.
Says it all right there. You're exactly right.
The game has changed.
Yep.
So real quick, maybe you're going to go to ad, but I got a good little segue.
No, I'm not.
Quick little seg. All right, so we all saw speaking of drafts, the NHL draft at the Sphere in Vegas. I mean, wow. How freaking sweet is that place? The UFC is going there for 306 in September. I cannot wait to see what that's going to look like. Apparently, Dana White's already dropped like $30 million into it. It's going to be one hell of a presentation. I'm imagining the walkouts. Think of how electric that's going to be in that arena when people are walking out, whether it's their flag on the Sphere or whatever. It's going to be cool. But the reason I bring it up mostly, I mean, Ted, you are the concert guy. You are the music man.
Yeah.
I mean, flat out, if you don't go there within the next year or two, I mean, who are we kidding? you have to put that on your list. You go to Vegas every time. Next time you're in Vegas, I mean, that's a must attend concert for whoever's there. U2, Grateful Dead, I don't care. You got to go and see it.
We've already talked about it because the Eagles are there for an extended run this fall. So it is a possibility because I got some airline ticket stuff I've got to use. So a quick weekend to Vegas, maybe see the Eagles, even though I've seen them once. It'd be great to experience the Sphere. You know, we were out there in Vegas. That was the one thing we really didn't do. We saw it from the outside, but didn't go inside. So yeah, that's a good take there.
Do they have a pretty full lineup of concerts, or is it pretty limited? Like, does everyone that goes, makes the circuit, do they all go to stop there? Or it's pretty limited, probably.
No, it's
right?
like a residency. They're like there for I think 3 or 4 months. And they play basically on the weekends. Then they have other stuff that they do during the week. It's like kind of like planetarian type of stuff. You know what I mean? So. Yeah, that's a great idea.
It's pretty wild. It'd be cool to see a show there for sure.
Jared brought up the draft. A couple quick Detroit Red Wing stories. I mean, Pavel Datsyuk made it to the Hall of Fame. He was a tremendous player back in his day. Really, he was just phenomenal with the puck. And then Patrick Kane re-signed with the Wings. That a little bit of a surprise, but that's a great move by Yzerman, convincing him to stick around.
Yeah, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame at some point, and just another solid, just a veteran player for the Red Wings. I mean, they need to make the jump next year and make it back into the playoffs. I mean, if it doesn't happen next year, it can be fair to start to question, like, all right, what this Yzer plan,
right.
What's going on here if they don't make the playoffs next year? But yeah, it's a solid signing.
Absolutely. One other topic, guys, this is kind of falls into your age group and what's going on nowadays. I mean, you're more in tune to the social media stuff than I am and computer stuff. But I saw that, Al Michaels' voice is going to be used by AI. What in the hell? He's still alive. Why don't you just hire him? Right. What's going on?
Dude, I saw that. I thought he was dead.
No.
Why are they doing Why are they doing
I was going to say, I saw that, and I meant to read what the reasoning is. I don't know because he doesn't work for NBC anymore, because he's just with Amazon Prime, right?
Yep.
Doing the Thursday night game. So maybe there's some contractual stuff that they can't figure out, but it is kind of funny. Like, why would they do the AI and not just contract him out to voice a bunch of stuff? It is kind of wild.
I love Al Michaels. I read his book. I mean, he had the best, I think I've talked about it on the show before, best job ever out of college. Minor league baseball announcer in Hawaii. Listen, I don't understand this whole AI thing. I've been waiting for him to call it with the whole Amazon thing. I mean, it's just time. I love Herb Street. I feel like he's just not given a fair shake at NFL announcing with that booth. They just don't mesh. I just feel like they don't really mesh that well. But yeah, bizarre. I guess why did I think he was dead? He's still announcing. That's kind of a shame that I said that.
Yeah. And I got one final topic, golf. I talked to you yesterday about it, Jared. The Rocket Mortgage Classic, it had quite a bad finish by one of the guys, but Cam Davis came away with a win. But the big story in golf, I thought, was in the Senior Open in Newport, Rhode Island, back-to-back hole-in-ones. Think about that. Number one, somebody actually hitting back-to-back hole-in-ones, and then in a big tournament like the U.S. Senior Open, you got a golf course with back-to-back par threes. That's not very common, is it?
No, but it's not like it's not really like, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's how the course. Here's the thing about golf architecture.
Yeah.
You take what the land gives you. When the land gives you space for two magical par threes back to back, that's what you do.
Well, you're a wise man.
I guess I didn't. I guess I didn't realize that that was on the senior tour. What I noticed about that, the guy made 2 hole-in-ones in a row and then finished his front 9 with 4 straight bogeys, dude. And I think he ended up shooting like even par or 1 over. Like, at that point, I'd rather not do it. Because think about, like, when you think, I had 2 hole-in-ones, dude. What'd you shoot? 32, 33, 37. Yeah.
Right.
Like, dude, how like, I just
kind of takes the luster away.
Rush, a 2 hole-in-ones, like, you're riding high. How do you squander it with 4 straight bogeys? I thought it was just some random amateur. That's why I was like, oh, whatever. Yeah, I just got lucky. This guy is a pro.
Yeah,
dude, finish the round strong, man.
Right.
Good point. Hey, before we wrap up this podcast, we don't have to have an official Tedtertainment tonight, but I owe it to our listeners and you guys my review of Kevin Costner's movie Horizon American
you did watch
Saga.
it? Okay.
Yeah,
it's not going to be a good review.
You're right. It was disappointing. I mean,
really,
it had good scenery. Okay, I don't usually go to the movie for scenery, but it had great scenery. But I just think the casting wasn't really good, and the weakest part of it was the writing. And Kevin Costner was one of the writers. He could have used Taylor Sheridan's help, the guy with Yellowstone in 1883. But it was disappointing. I'd probably give it a 2.4. Wow. It dragged a bit, and what's weird, you got Kevin Costner that knows movies inside and out. He's a legend, right?
Yeah.
But when I talk about the casting, Sienna Miller, you know who she is? She's a really nice looking blonde, getting up there in age, but she's a really good looking actress. And here we are in the Wild West, settling across the country. The other good thing I was going to say was the fight scenes were good, with the Native Americans and the settlers. But when you think of somebody back in the 1800s making their way west, I mean, they don't have mascara on, they don't have the makeup on. You got to make them look kind of rough, and I thought they failed on that. So yeah, I wouldn't
That's kind of disappointing.
I wouldn't say don't go see it. It still might be worth checking out, but don't go with high expectations. That's what I would say. It drags a little bit. I mean, it took a beating at the box office. I mean, he put up his own money, and I think it made the first weekend $11 million.
So was this essentially just like a shitty ripoff of the 1883? It sounds like it's the same premise, basically.
Yeah. Think of Luke Wilson as the wagon train leader. I mean, Luke Wilson. I mean, he's a decent actor, but
so now they got 2 more of these coming out. Like basically after getting bombed,
three more. They got three more.
Oh,
it's a 4.
Maybe they won't make it to the 4th one. I don't know.
That was going to be my question, because the second one's already slated for August.
It's already in the can.
Are you going to go see that one, or is it kind of
50-50? I might just wait to watch it on a streaming service.
it was that bad, huh?
You talk about like Costner and how he's such a great actor, he should know better. But like sometimes these guys, I mean, dude, everything they put out, people say I love it. It's like sometimes you need something like this to kind of bring you back to reality.
It's just
was
a
awesome.
shame.
It wasn't all awesome just because of you. Is like, Kevin Costner was awesome in Yellowstone. That show would have been just fine if it wasn't Costner. If it whoever is that main character.
Well, writing makes a difference. It makes a difference, and also, and you both know this, when you put together video packages, editing, you don't have to have 10,000 hours to do a movie, right?
Right.
I mean, I think he had too big of an ambition, and it's too long. It doesn't need to be dragged
especially
out.
making it a 4-part epic. I mean,
essentially it's him and his wife Sienna Miller, like trying to set up for roots in the Wild West, which is a fascinating. I mean, you think about like fresh off the Civil War, these men are fresh off a war, armed. They just go out west, realize there ain't no damn rules out here. It is a fascinating thing, but again, writing and that's what it is though. It's just them moving out west and settling.
Yeah, well, it's there's like a handful of side stories. Sienna Miller's not with Kevin Costner. She's with the head of the cavalry regiment out there. Her husband, I won't spoil it because people are still going to go see it. But there's a little love thing with the army guy, right? And then there's a separate storyline with the wagon train. Then there's a separate storyline with Kevin Costner. And think about this, fellas. I'm a huge Costner fan. No getting around it. You don't even see him until the 1 hour mark in this movie.
Wow.
It's 3 hours. You don't see him till 6 minutes are gone.
3 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. What's it called? Let me just see like a quick
Horizon.
An American Saga.
An American Saga. So how much different is it then? It's a very similar, like you said, to 1883, but then even Dances with Wolves. It's kind of, but Dances with Wolves is like, so where would you put it? Where would you put it in comparison to Dances with Wolves?
Way behind it. Way behind.
Wow.
I'd put it behind 1883, to be honest with you. I kind of like that whole storyline. I was really disappointed that was a 1 season and out. I really enjoyed that.
like you saying, a big part of those is making it look authentic. You know,
Right.
you want to see him dirty, you want to see him nasty. Like 1883, that's what it is.
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of surprising. I wonder if he was trying to one up the Yellowstone
I think
franchise.
so.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
And here's kind of the reality of it. I mean, listen, I'm not an ageist, but Kevin Costner at whatever, how old is he now? 60,
My
right?
age. He's my
I mean,
age.
like
Probably.
at some point you gotta like was it believable in Yellowstone? Yeah, because it's like modern day. Him out in the Wild West, he would have got mauled by these cavalry. These like, dude, he's old, man. Like it just is. That is rough and like I don't know. It just
In fairness to Kevin Costner, his part was okay. He played his part okay. He did all right.
Okay.
But also you just got to suspend some disbelief here. I don't know. That's just like that's a death wish, and that like I don't know. Going out like it's just I would have found some way to maybe make that a little bit more kind of I guess believable or.
Yeah.
He doesn't have that badass aura about it, to me, at least. In Yellowstone,
Right.
he kind of somehow had it. That was the writing. That's Taylor Sheridan making this guy money.
Right.
But I don't know. Anyway, I'm reading here. So he put 38 million of his own money into it, mortgaged his house, and it basically paid off for 4.1 million opening weekend. Oh my God.
Think
it's only going to be
that.
worse for the next 3 flicks.
Yeah. But that's the big thing with him. I mean, speaking of Dances with Wolves, he funded Dances with Wolves. I'm pretty sure he funded Field of Dreams, Bull Durham. I'm pretty sure like
really?
I'm pretty sure he got his career. Yeah, I think he got his big career going. Like, because when what's the draft day, that movie of his that came out 9 years ago, when that came out, I'm surprised I haven't told this. Maybe I have. He came to ESPN to do like a speaker series, and you had to sign up. So I went and signed up, and he did like a very intimate, like, speaker series type of thing. And it was really interesting because he got into his whole career, and he did like he said before, and the moderator said before, everyone had to put their phones away. Everyone had to like, there was no recording of what was being said because he was going to say, maybe some personal stuff or whatever. But he went into how when he had the idea for Dances with Wolves, no one wanted to fund it. So he funded Dances with Wolves. And like I said, I'm pretty sure Field of Dreams and Bull Durham. And then maybe he started making, some money or whatever. But so it's kind of been his thing. So it doesn't surprise me that he funded this. Right. It's just a shame that sounds like he's losing some money on it.
Well, this one's a stinker. So it's
he's still got 3 more to go.
I know. I still like the guy, but this one a little bit too big of undertaking for him.
Maybe he's gonna call Taylor Sheridan back and be like, "Hey, can you put me back in Yellowstone real quick?"
It may be a good call for sure.
I mean, all right, guys. Like, sorry, I'll throw one more comment on. Like the Yellowstone thing, I don't know whose idea it was. Was it Costner's? Was it Sheridan's? I mean, Costner basically saying Yellowstone makes him all this dough, brings him basically back to the forefront of the United States public's mind, just to basically backstab him and say, I'm gonna go try to make a better Yellowstone. Like, I don't know, it's kind of like good, like thank God it failed. Like that's kind of what's messed up. I don't know the full details of it.
Right.
On paper, it just seems like a shady thing to do.
I think it was Costner's deal because he wanted to devote his time to putting this movie together, and they couldn't come to the agreement to shoot around it. I think that's what ultimately came to.
It's just like straight up competition. It's the same premise. You basically said it's like the same premise as 1883.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't know. It just seems kind of screwy, but
oh well. I don't always brag about the guys I like, and this one just didn't work for me.
Yeah, that's disappointing because I want to see it too, but now I'll probably wait.
Yeah, no, man. That's because you fight for your guys. I appreciate that. It must have really been bad.
Yeah. It was depressing. It was. But at least I got popcorn and, went to the movies.
There you go.
All right, guys, unless you got anything else, let's call this a podcast. That sound good?
Yep.
I want to thank our good friends at Memorial Healthcare's Wellness Center. Join the Wellness Run Club headed by Rachel Smith and Ben Jacobs. A great way to get in shape and get ready for the Go Blue, Go Green 5K on October 5th. Details at memorialhealthcare.org. Our other partners, the ALS Association of Michigan, AZee Branding Solutions, Detroit Jerky, Jacobs Insurance Agency, Kori Shook & Associates Real Estate Services, Nelson House Funeral Homes, Rivals Taphouse and Grille, Shiawassee County Fair, and Success Group Mortgage and Servicing. You can tell we got a few partners there, fellas, and we're going to definitely have a couple special podcasts coming on a little later this summer, and you're going to hear all the intimate details on their businesses. So we want you to look forward to that. Also, Chi-Town, our favorite country band, they have a show coming up on July 13th, the 200-year celebration in Byron. That's a pretty cool event in itself. So they'll be headlining there. Peace and love, everybody. Be kind. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next time.